Welcome to the third panel of the day, working in the music industry. This session is all about how to develop your own careers and entryways into the music industry if you're an industry professional. I've got some great panelists here with me today who all have got into the industry in various different ways, but I'll let them introduce themselves just now. For anyone who wasn't here earlier, I'm Kit. I'm the project coordinator for Off the Record and the event coordinator for White Days, and I'll get a bit into a bit about how I got into that role a bit later on, but I'll pass over to Kayleigh just now.
Hey everyone, I'm Kayleigh Robin. I work as project manager for Resonate and label manager at 23rd Precinct Music, who are a music publisher in Glasgow. I'm also a DJ and producer in the electronic space, and yeah, I do other sort of roles, various roles throughout the industry, just working at gigs, box office, various sort of mentoring, artist management roles. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this chat today and getting into it.
Fantastic. And Mobo?
Hey, my name is Mobo. I'm an artist manager. I am also a booker and festival coordinator for a conference called Pitch Scotland, and I run a recording studio called Up to Standard, and that's sort of my roles.
And finally, Kat.
Hi, I'm Kat. I work at a booking agency based in Glasgow, so I'm a tour coordinator / assistant, and I've just recently been promoted to be an agent myself as well. Also, like Kayleigh, I've done like plenty of like gig booking and individual freelance stuff like on my own, as well as like repping shifts and like all of us, just doing what you can to get in at the live side.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on being a fully fledged agent now. We've kind of touched on it slightly in the introductions, but I guess if you could give kind of a, not a lengthy, but a quick overview of how you got into the roles that you're in and kind of how you started out within the industry and how it led to where you are now in the roles that you're in. I'll go to Mobo first on this one, because you wear many hats in the industry.
My first role, I guess, started with management. I just wanted to help my pals. They were playing gigs and needed a little bit of structure and help, maybe getting venues, so I started making myself useful, or what I felt was useful. I got into the studio recording business because I just loved being around music. I found a really cool studio, and I used to just go there after uni just to hang out. Again, figuring out how I can make myself useful. Through that, started putting on events, AMRing a little bit, like connecting people to the studio and just using my network, and getting into the Pitch Scotland position as a booker. That came because I've been advocating for the hip hop genre for as long as I can remember. And I just felt like that's something where I can really add something to the conversation. And after attending the Power Up program, I got encouraged to apply and I ended up getting the position, and I've been there for the past year now. And it's been really rewarding, really rewarding.
Amazing. And Kayleigh.
Yeah, so I've always been a music fan, like from a kid, learned guitar from 5, and then learned violin from like age 6. And then, I was just always in a musical family, so I was really lucky to sort of get brought up with lots of different sounds. And then when I was sort of leaving high school, about to go into university, I sort of changed my mind at last minute and decided, like, look, I'll go and study music business because it's something I really enjoy, and I don't know what else I'm going to do. I don't know what else I would like work in. So I started promoting my own metal shows. I'm a big fan of lots of different sounds, metal being one of them. I started just bringing up different bands from various locations in the UK, bringing them to Glasgow, and then putting on local bands along with that. That's kind of how I got into the business side. And then when I was in uni, I managed to get an internship at 23rd Precinct Music, doing music publishing. being a publishing assistant and just, doing all the metadata side of things, all the administration side. And I think I got sort of my foot in the door there through just doing my own stuff before that. So that's kind of where I started, and then it just kind of grew from there. I was also in bands at the time. I was doing various music projects. I've always been an artist myself, and I've kind of got into music business side as well, just to learn as much as I possibly can and also support myself. And now I'm really focusing on DJing and producing my own music and getting that out there, and running my own club night now. So I'm in the sort of electronic techno world now. And I guess my career at the moment is very much like a portfolio career, and I have to rely on other things as well outside of my day job, which is label manager now at 23rd Precinct Music. So working with artists there, setting up releases, but we do a whole load of different things, and working in a small team, and that's kind of my route, sort of just going out there, trying lots of different things.
Great. And finally, Kat.
Yeah, kind of the same. I mean, everybody starts doing like a bit of everything. Like I left school and wasn't really sure where I wanted to start, so I ended up, like Kayleigh, I went to uni to study music business. In first year, I set up a promotions company, so I started running my own shows just like independently. Started bringing a few friends on board, and I'd never been in a band, and I hate performing. Like being on stage is literally my worst nightmare, so even sitting here is quite fucking scary for me. But so I pulled on a bunch of friends and then was like, right, okay, how do you run a show? Like, this is ridiculous. I've started like booking all these things and I have no idea what I'm doing. So I was like bringing on friends who perform, and they were like, right, okay, you need a writer. And I was like, what's a writer? Like, I've been to plenty of shows, but I was like, I literally have no idea what a writer is. So I had to like rely on like all my pals to be like, right, okay, you need this. Like, you need to like get your sound tech. Like, you might need a photographer. So then I like kind of figured out how to do that. I ran that for like 3 or 4 years up until like recently. Might still do it again, but we'll see if we have time. So I did that for a while. Then I think it was like 2nd or 3rd year in uni, I was like, right, okay, I want to do something a bit more industry focused because I'm not really interested in like the artist side of it. Like, that just wasn't for me. So I started a conference event similar to this that was called Queens of Noise, and it was for like particularly like non-male representing people who wanted to work in music and didn't really know how to get started. I started that with one of my female friends who was a manager at the time. I'd just met her, we were at this event, and we were like sat in the room together, and I was like, why do I feel like I don't belong here? And she was like, neither do I. So we're like, okay, let's do something about that and try and find other women who feel the same way. And that was really fun. Like, it was like a 2-day-long conference. We had loads of bands, we had loads of speakers. We ended up having like people from Creative Scotland come in and like chatting. Like, it was really good, and I met a lot of people through doing that. And then I got to 4th year, still wanting to do that, so I was trying to run that alongside doing events and doing my course. I ran like a kind of multi-visual arts like one-day festival, so I put on like photographers, I had like dancers, I had panelists, did all that kind of stuff as well. And in the midst of all my uni stuff, I also managed to get a couple of internships. I started at Soma Records, so they're like an electronic label in Glasgow. They run like did run the Slam Tent, and they've worked with Daft Punk, like lots of cool stuff. So that was really like admin heavy. Was there for like 4 or 5 months, and then I ended up being lucky enough to get another internship at DF Concerts, where I worked in the ticketing department and helped them like set up events on the back end. So like you're making ticket links and you're setting up pre-sales for your artists. You're getting to work with other promoters, so that was really fun. And then by the end of my uni course, I managed to get a job at ATC, where I've now been for nearly 3 years. So started out again like as an assistant. You're like learning how to work with managers. You're learning what it means to go on tour and how it works for an artist. Like, you go to a show and you don't realize that there are so many people involved from step 1 to them performing on stage. So I've learned a ridiculous amount since then. And then in the last like couple of months, I've finally got some of my own bands as well. So yeah, started as just kind of doing a bit of everything, and then now I've managed to become the only female agent in Scotland. So, yeah.
So I guess the point to reiterate from everyone is that when you are establishing your career in the music industry, you will wear various hats depending on the areas that you're interested in. Also, just one point to add is that it's also okay to have a day job that isn't within the music industry to support yourself while you are developing your career as well. I did it, and I'm sure plenty of other people have done it as well. But for me, starting out, I, like Kat, could never perform in a band. My anxiety is rife, so this is a wild ride for me as well. And I found a music business course at Perth UHI, went to study that, and basically volunteered and did internships and work experience placements at various different industry organisations, and then did my work placement with Wide Days and worked a day a week, and it's progressed into kind of full-time work now. But yeah, everyone's journey into the industry is always very different, and it's okay to have a day job or wear various hats to develop your careers. So moving on from that, I guess this is more for Kayleigh, or anyone else can jump in as well. What skills can being a musician or being in a band lead to in terms of work? So sort of transferable skills where you can then kind of jump in and do industry side of it as well.
Yeah, so I guess when you're working in the with different hats on, for example, I do box office shifts, flying shifts for different various promoters, and it's not only, I guess, the skills that you sort of pick up through that, but the people you're always sort of meeting. I think a lot of my opportunities have developed through just being in amongst it and sort of meeting people and developing those relationships. Just really, really helps when you're trying to become more known in the industry and get more opportunities. So I think even if a job doesn't seem like, oh, this might not be the path that I'm actually wanting to go, I don't know if the skills will be transferable, but I think that generally, like, there'll always be some benefit from doing it. And yeah, I think, I don't know if you want to jump in on that, anyone else, but I think from the point I'm trying to make is just like, always take every opportunity, whether it's a job or even outside of work. If you're meeting people, just make the most of it.
And a general rule is like, if you get asked to do something, you just say yes and you figure out how to do it later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with that. I think like your network is really key. Like if you are playing shows and you're meeting people, those same people may be able to help you down the line. I've always relied on my network. I don't really have a music background in the same way my colleagues here do. It's always been about attending events, meeting people, letting them know what I do. And I think that all of you in here have those skills already. Even just attending this is really important. I attended Resonate a few years ago, and that was the beginning of my journey. And through that, I started meeting more people, meeting Kayleigh, figuring out what's actually going on around me in Scotland. And I think that if you've already made the effort to be here in the morning on a Saturday, I think you're definitely on the right path.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I met Kit volunteering at Off the Record, and that must have been, 6 years ago now? And now you're, running the show. You start by, going and you meet people who are also, as interested as you are. It's all about, enthusiasm and, making sure you're going to these things and, go and say hello. Even if you meet one person that day, you've done a massive step in the right direction.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Working for an industry conference, I kind of have to agree. But networking is incredibly important. It's a very daunting experience for a lot of people, especially when you're just starting out in the industry. But on that note, I can personally say that I've never met anyone who has been absolutely horrible to speak to. generally, if people are at an event like this, then they are there to speak to people, and they expect to be spoken to. No one's going to stand in their own little bubble, hopefully anyway. But yeah, attending industry events and even just gigs. Go to gigs, meet other people who are like-minded, meet other artists, and then you can collaborate as an artist in different ways as well. It's not necessarily working in music, but it all kind of feeds into the same vein. We'll go slightly more serious now. If you've ever been in a position where you've been looking at CVs or even just artist applications, I guess a lot of us will have looked at those. What sort of kind of skills and things or experience or general information would you see that music industry organisations in particular are looking for if someone is applying, or if someone's just emailing and reaching out for a work experience placement, what should they include in that? I'll go to Mobo first.
I think enthusiasm is definitely key. I'm always interested in people who've got something that they're interested in, even if it isn't something that fully aligns with my interest, if that makes sense. There's someone in here called Rayan who is so enthusiastic about everything that he does that I just had to bring him into the studio, and I just have him around because I feed off that energy. And if you think about it for organizations as well, like some people end up working at an organization for quite a long time, and we need that new energy, that new enthusiastic energy in order to, first of all, connect us to what's going on and let us know what's going on, but then also, like, it's just good having people around who are willing to learn, willing to grow, and willing to, like, yeah, just kind of push the boundary a little bit. So yeah, even if you think that it might not quite align with the role that you're applying for, it's always cool to find out about, like, yeah, what are the other things that you're interested in. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Kayleigh, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Having like the right people around you, in life in general as well, that's really important. And just if somebody's applying to intern with us, then I guess you're looking for a little bit more than just a CV, because it's so hard to sort of get somebody's personality and understand what somebody is actually wanting to do. So I always think just going above and beyond a wee bit, and if it's something like in social media that you're applying for, then sort of send over some examples, or make your own plan. Just sort of be creative with your ideas, and add something extra in. I think that it's really hard to get your personality and your enthusiasm across through a CV. So generally just go and do some extra research as well into the company, and to make sure you sort of sound like and look like you know what you're talking about. I think that definitely helps. Yeah, Kat?
Yeah, totally. Like, know who you're speaking to. Like, why are you reaching out to them? Like, do you like the bands that they work with? Do you know somebody who works there and they seem really happy, or like they have a trajectory that you're interested in? So like, at least on our side, like, I don't really see a lot of CVs, but we have a lot of like artist submissions. And it's so important to be like personable in terms of like, have you looked at the roster of the agent that you're speaking to? Like, if you're a hip hop artist, don't just reach out to every agent you can think of, because what if their like niche is like Americana or like folk bands? Like, they're not going to be able to help you. They won't know the right areas that you need to be existing in. Like, just do your research, as well as like kind of like show who you are a little bit. Like, as Kayleigh was saying, like, CVs are really impersonal, because it's just like, this is my skills. So like, when you send an email, don't be like, hello sir or madam. Like, be like, all right man, like, how are you doing? Like, it's okay to be informal. Like, music's not a particularly like formal industry. Like, you meet most people that you're gonna know for like the rest of your career, usually like at a gig or in the pub. Like, just like be yourself a little bit. So like, let them know you. Like, I think the easiest example I have of that is like the internship I got at DF. I think I swung it when I had an interview with them, and they asked me what my favourite show was, and I got so excited. I was also really nervous, but I got so excited when I was telling them about it that I actually cried a little bit, and I was mortified. I left, and I was like, that is the worst thing I could have possibly ever done. And they phoned me the next day, and they were like, yeah, come in. And I was like, okay, cool.
Add to that as well, like I think the enthusiasm is definitely like key what you're talking about, because if I think about my early entries, like my CV, I didn't really have, like my CV didn't look as good because I didn't have that experience, but I think people gravitate towards me because of, I'm a dreamer, be a dreamer, like I will be part of a top 40 record coming out of the rap scene, coming out of Scotland, you know, dream big and let people know that you dream big as well, because that's really key. Let them know that you're excited about things as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And just to add as well, like, remembering back to when I first started out, like, it can be really demotivating to be applying and reaching out to loads of different places, or applying through an application form and not quite getting the job and getting the rejection email. It is difficult in that sense, but to kind of echo what's been said, it's also super important. If it sounds a bit stalkery, so I'm sorry, but if there's a company you want to work for, or an organisation that you're really interested in, and you want to have a work experience placement with them, or you want to intern with them, and you know that they're going to be at an event, or they're going to be putting on a gig or anything like that, then go to that event and speak to them. It's so much easier to put a name to a face and to really understand what that person's about by them attending those events. Like, even for job applications for us, we get kind of like 150 applications that we sit and we go through all of them. But it's always kind of the work experience things when you are just reaching out to people and you've met them at an event, you can kind of put that face to a name and understand where they're coming from and what they're doing. That would just be a piece of advice that I would give as well. So in terms of the audience that we have here, and thinking back to when we were also that age, what kind of skills would the audience members have that they can then build upon in terms of kind of like knowing about genres, video editing, kind of Canva and things like that, and just developing those skills? I'll go to Kat first.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, what do you do in your spare time that's not music? Like, what do you enjoy? Like, are you really interested in, like, films? Like, do you know a little bit, like, film scores? Like, do you go to a lot of shows? Do you help out at friends' stuff? Like, do you do karaoke nights? Or do you help friends with, like, PowerPoints with uni? And you're like, all right, cool, maybe I could, like, turn that into something else. Like, when I first started, like, I really enjoyed, like, making, like, social assets. But for, like, various reasons, like, I'm sure at college and uni and stuff, like, you guys all have to do the same thing. If there's, like, parts of your course or, like, just hobbies that you have, think about, like, how that's useful and, like, what you can do with it. Like, if you're helping out a friend's band, like, ask if you can come along and, like, see what loading is. Like, do you know how to, like, set up a stage? Do you know, like, how to set up a light show? Like, anything like that. Like, just find little areas that you're interested in and, like, ask people questions about everything. And just, yeah, get in amongst it. Just ask all the fucking questions.
Yeah, like, I think you sort of discover over time, you don't just sort of always know where your skills lie at the start. So I think part of my journey was sort of learning about music publishing, then moving towards label management, also, and amongst that, doing artist management, so kind of having to wear all the hats. And as an artist manager, you have to make the content, you have to maybe learn a bit of video editing, you have to maybe learn sort of a bit of graphic design. It's not, well, unless you want to pay loads of people to do it. So generally it's good to sort of just dive into these things, and like Kit was saying, Canva is a really great tool for someone that doesn't know anything about Photoshop or anything. And there are like free video editing tools as well. Yeah, and like through the label management, in 23rd Precinct, we're a really small team, so we have to do a lot of stuff in-house as well. And through that, I've learned that digital marketing is something I'm interested in, and I sort of went off and learned a lot more about that. So that's a really beneficial tool sort of to have for future jobs, for doing on the side for helping other artists. So I think like figuring out where your skills lie and then discovering where there maybe is there's a niche or where people are needing sort of more of that, and then you never know, that could sort of grow into your own business one day, and you might not have set out to do that initially.
I fully agree. How many of you have put on a house party before? Anybody? Yep. I used to put on parties. I was that pal that would invite people together. That led on to me putting on illegal raves, which then led on to me putting on some legal raves. So it's like
We're gonna go down that.
Yeah. So it's like, I think it's just those transferable skills. I'm also that pal that everybody comes to if there's like people have got arguments. Can I be the mediator? It's very helpful being a manager, having that skill now. I got given a camera when I was younger. Then there was a photography camera. Then an artist called ID asked me, can you film? I was like, I went onto YouTube, figured out how to do it. It looked horrible. It's probably still on there somewhere. It's like those little things that your pals ask you to do, they do come in very handy. And now thinking back as well, doing those things gave me a better understanding when I'm now commissioning people to do those things, whether that's filming a video, whether that's taking pictures and stuff like that. And as you said earlier, like say yes to everything and then figure it out after. During lockdown, I listened to a podcast called Behind the Music Business by Danny Champion, and that was my Bible, because during lockdown, everything shut down. I was like, what am I gonna do? I still need to keep learning. I still listen to that podcast constantly, and then I reach out to people, ask them about their experience. I think you really need to sort of, just be curious. If you're a curious person, it definitely helps. And if you're not, then find your pal who is curious so you can get them to ask the questions. Definitely. There's loads of transferable skills, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We are running low on time, so we'll speed through these next two questions. So I guess we'll have different perspectives on this and different areas where we look for opportunities, but it's just to have you all raise some kind of organisations or platforms or formal opportunities that exist for people starting out in the industry to get involved in. We'll just go along in order, so I'll go back to Kayleigh just now.
Yeah, so things like definitely keep in touch with all the off-the-record events coming up. I think these sort of events that are sort of for young people and tailored to them are really, really good. And Resonate in Glasgow, Expo North in Inverness, Dumfries Music Conference, they're all really great and just have great resources online as well. But I think it is really worthwhile sort of travelling round to all the cities in Scotland and check out all the music conferences. There's always events on throughout the year as well, sort of free workshops. I'm always just like signing up to random workshops while I'm working. Luckily, I can work from home and in the office, so if you've got a job like that, then I recommend always just be feeding yourself with information, these kind of webinars and master classes and stuff like that. In terms of like other resources that you should check out, I think like the most valuable for me has just been reaching out directly to like people that I've been interested in. Like, it might have been mobile in the past where we just messaged and then meet up and have a coffee. Like, I think sometimes it's just great to bounce ideas off of each other, and that's how a lot of my creative ideas come out. And it's been tough, obviously, during COVID, and then we're working at home a lot. So I think just getting out and about and just trying to talk to people. I hope that answered the question.
It did. I'll jump over to Mobo now.
I need to plug Pitch Scotland, another conference event. And I think, as you said off the record, like there's loads of websites where you find resources. I have downloaded all the off the records resources because they are so useful. And I think also there's other organizations such as the SMIA, just to keep an eye on that. Reaching out to people, even if you're not wanting a job, like people do like talking about what they do. So like reach out to people, ask them, because they were where you were at one stage as well. And yeah.
Yeah, totally the same. Like, there's so many websites that have like an absolutely insane amount of resources, like the SMIA, even like Creative Scotland and like Musicians Union. Like, there are so many resources. Like, try and, especially if there's like a niche that you're already interested in, like, do your research. But then even like what Kayleigh was saying and what Mobo was saying, like, ask people for coffee. Like, nobody's like antisocial in music. Like, as I said, like most people you're gonna meet like at a show or like in a bar. Like, everybody's just kind of like hanging out, figuring out what they're doing, like on their own as well. Like, everybody's figuring it out as they go. So just like if there's somebody that you like, or if there's like a manager that you think's really cool, or there's an artist that's like played a really cool show, like try and speak to them. Like, when you're out and about, like speak to everyone, like every opportunity to like say hello if you're up for it. Just go and be like, hi. Like, you don't have to give them anything. You don't have to like feel like you need to say something for yourself. Like, I had to like really push myself to speak to people and like get to know folk, because I always felt like I couldn't say hello because I didn't have anything to give them. I was like, oh, you've already got your job, like why would you want to speak to me? But nobody's like that. Like, just say hello to everyone.
Yeah, it does seem like scary, and I think it's important to like just point out, like, we're all nervous like coming up and talking on stage here, and we've all been nervous sort of speaking and networking to people and still get nervous. So I think it is important to sort of just be like, we're with you guys on that one, and it's not always easy to sort of just go up and speak to somebody. So yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more on that point. But just to add as well, in terms of resources and opportunities and things, there are lots of youth organisations that exist within Scotland who you should follow on social media. I won't list all of them because there are tons of them, but their kind of main role is to highlight all the opportunities that are available. So that's how you can get access to kind of workshops and other industry events and bursary places and ways and means of getting into the industry. The last point I'll come to, hopefully you can answer this, is if you can sum up in a sentence, what do you enjoy most about your jobs in the industry? I'll start with Kat.
Oh, thanks. A single sentence.
A single sentence.
Live music. What's it?
Mobo?
I really enjoy seeing people coming to me with ideas and then sort of helping them come to their own realizations of how to actualize those ideas, like that journey of from initial idea to, oh my God, this is a thing, that gets me going. That's so exciting.
And Kayleigh?
Yeah, for me, it's all about the music, fundamentally, growing, developing in yourself and in music, and just generally just the beautiful moments and just the people that you'll know for life and meet through it. So generally just the music.
Seems to be the common theme. That is us finished up, but we do have time for questions, and there is a wireless mic. I can't see where it is. Oh no, there it is. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. We have some time just now. Anyone?
Hi, I'm Cici, and I'm actually just like in the very, very beginning of this whole journey, because I just decided to like do more music, make more music. I'm a singer-songwriter, so just started from last year, and I still feel like I'm building up my skills even in instrumental playing and also singing, because I never got any like professional training before. So I kind of feel like every time when I want to connect with people, I will feel like, oh, I need to be at a very high level for this kind of skills or something, or else why? Because if I want to like get get more opportunities to perform and even get gigs, I need to get to that level and to be able to connect. But after like 1 or 2 years, I just feel like, but I still don't know anyone, and I wonder if there's like any things you would recommend me to do, or to like just generally.
I'll jump in 2 secs, but for me, I think a lot of people get really daunted with networking because you feel like you have to be at the same level as the head of Warner Music or whoever you're talking to. That's not what networking is primarily about. I've made lots of friends who I still have now. It's all kind of about making friends, and just, you don't need to be at the same level as them. My recommendation would be just make small talk about things that you like and that you enjoy, and you can build your own connections that way and develop a network, which then in the future, if there's an opportunity that they think you're right for, they'll get in touch with you, and you can lean upon that network to kind of make navigating the music industry a lot easier for you. But I'll pass over to anyone else.
Do you want to? I'll go if you want. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's like difficult trying to navigate that at the start. It's like, oh, I can't do small talk. Like, it's difficult for me to do small talk. So yeah, it's easy for some people. What I would suggest is just generally just sort of network with people that are at the same level as you, and I think that's what we should be focusing on, is just like not only talking to people that are a lot further up to get advice, to get mentored, sort of just ask questions to those people. And I think it is really important to build a network around you of people the same level as you, so that you can sort of feed off each other and also help each other. I think that's what really helps you grow, rather than, like you say, it's just like daunting to try and be like, say the right things. I think it's better to just sort of, go out, make small talk, and you meet who you meet, and don't try and like think about it too much. Don't try and be like, right, I need to meet this person, this person, this person. Obviously, if you've got an opportunity to go and talk to them, then definitely do. But I think it's so much more beneficial down the line and in the future, when yous have all sort of, you can grow together and you have a network around you that supports that.
Yeah, totally. Like, when you're starting out, it's about building like your own community. Like, obviously, like I met you years ago because I was working at Resonate. I met Kit when I was working at Off the Record. Like, it's just like meeting people around you who are trying to do the same thing, and you end up becoming like a nice little community. And then you go to these things, and then you can start to network with people like outside your comfort zone, because you're all in it like together. Like, everybody's trying to do the same thing, so don't be like afraid to say hello.
Amazing. Any more questions just now?
Oh, two.
How would you recommend to get in contact with artists as a producer, like even near you or in America or wherever, just anywhere?
As a producer, if you can't get them into the studio, one of the producers that I worked with, what he did is he would find he would do remixes of the track and be like, yo, what do you think about this? And then that starts a conversation. Sometimes you need to show them how you can imagine them sounding. I think also just getting in touch with them, like if you can't necessarily get in touch with them, I think you need to get in touch. You need to reach out, because you can either wait for people to come to you, or you can really, like start getting in touch with people. I think collaborate with other artists. So let's say you want artist A, but you can't get to artist A. Find someone that's similar to, just so that you can show them and give them an example as well down the line. I hope that helped.
Yeah, I think that's like the best thing you could probably do, is start doing remixes, and then maybe you build up a couple projects, and then you could potentially pitch to a publisher and say, I'm a producer looking to work with different artists. Do you have any artists on your roster that suits my sound and what I can do? Generally, it kind of goes back to the point of just sort of starting it yourself, and then sort of showing you can do that. And then obviously, yeah, pitch out to people and just sort of get your idea out there. Hopefully some opportunity would come from that.
A wee cheat code would also be maybe finding some recording studios and maybe seeing if you can intern in the recording studio, because then you meet more artists as well. You might meet other producers that might want maybe some of your loop sections to use as part of their music, and then that way you're starting to get your sound out there as well.
Perfect. We've got time for one more question.
Cheers. Hi. I was just wondering if you had any advice for people in bands that they've been touring for a couple of years, they feel they've got it to a point where they can build a team around themselves, and they're looking to add people into that, whether that might be management or booking agents. What would your advice be to approaching those sort of organisations, and what is it that you might look for in, say, getting an email off of a band out of the blue when they're just starting to sort of build that relationship?
I'd say make sure you have everything that they will need from you before you reach out. Like, if you're going to email them and be like, hi, can you listen to my music? Like, do you have like a polished sound yet? Is it just like a recording on your phone, or do you have like a proper session? Like, have you done any live stuff? Do you have like a list of shows you've played before? Like, try and have like all of your evidence of who you are and all the work you've put in like ready and accessible for somebody to see when they're speaking to you, so that you can give them a full picture of who you are when you reach out. Like, if you're emailing somebody cold, especially if it's like you've never met them before and you have no relationship, like, give them all the answers before they need to ask you, because it makes it so much easier for somebody to see who you are and what you sound like without having to like come back and be like, sure, of course I'll listen to this. Can you send me a link that I can actually open? Or like, do you have any press shots? Or like, are you playing live anytime soon? Be like, this is the next time I'm playing in your city. I really like this thing about your roster, or I really like this project that you ran with this previous artist. Like, show them that you know who they are and how you fit with what they've already done, and then they'll totally give you like way more focus, because they'll be like, okay, I know that you know who I am. You've shown me who you are. Like, cool. Like, let's talk about it. Like, it just makes it so much easier on both sides, because it shows that you've done your research. Like, if your favorite band has like done a tour that you really like and you're reaching out to their agent, is it because you're similar, or is it just because you like what they've done? Like, tell them why you liked it, and then it'll show them what your interests are as well as like what you want to achieve.
Thank you.